Okay, so welcome everyone to our Rise to Ruby series. This is the brainchild of myself and a few of our Ruby leaders, Carrie Ray, Naomi, Amber, and Sandy. And the whole purpose of this is really just to kind of give you the tools to then create the foundation needed to grow your business, okay? The goal is not to get to Ruby by the end of February. I really want to preface this with that because I know sometimes a goal like that can seem really scary. It can seem kind of out of reach. And in my experience, I've been in the industry for 14 years. I've seen a lot of people just kind of shut down and not do anything when they're overwhelmed. So I really want to stress that this entire 4 weeks is going to be about your rise to leadership. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to hit leadership in the 4 weeks. It means that we're going to arm you with the tools and the knowledge and the resources and where to go for resources in order to continue on that journey. Everyone's journey in this industry is very different. So don't compare yourself to anybody else. Comparison can be the thief of joy for sure. And so your journey is very specific to you, whatever that looks like, okay? So over the next 4 weeks, we're going to meet every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. I am going to record it for those that are not able to make it on. I will post the recording right away. The expectation is you're either on the live or you watch the recording within 24 hours and take the action items and really put them into play, okay? I'm really going to push you outside of your comfort zone. I'm going to push you to, places where you might think, oh, this is just not something that, I have been doing or really want to do. Leaders in this industry are made by being uncomfortable. That's really and truly how we get how we start to see success in this industry. So we're going to talk a lot about, mindset and how to overcome those types of things, where to find resources, where to get some, personal development every single day to help, build your mindset and to build your resiliency to work towards your goals in this industry. Okay, so I have created some slides just because it helps me really and truly. It's, for my benefit. Otherwise, I have a really hard time staying on track. So today, like I said, we're over the next 4 weeks, we are going to address the common things that are needed to have in your toolbox in order to create success in this industry. So I've broken it down. This week, we are going to look at mindset. We're going to talk a little bit about that, how to strengthen it, how to overcome some limiting beliefs. We're going to look at DMO, which is your daily method of operation. I really want you all taking a really deep dive into what does your daily routine look like for your business. And then we're going to look at that working list. Okay, so these are like very basics, but we have to start at the basics in order to build. Okay, if you've ever built a house before, you've got to create that foundation before you can put the walls up, right? Okay, so let's look at mindset first. Mindset is one of those things, it's a word that buzzes around all the time, but I can't really stress the importance of the power of your mind in your behaviors and your actions in your business. A lot of times we get in our own way. I would have to say 99% of the people that I've seen in this industry quit or classify themselves as failing. And I actually never use the F word. I prefer to use not yet as opposed to I failed at something. I just have not yet accomplished that. I have not yet gotten the skills in my toolbox in order to be successful in that area. However, a lot of people think that if they don't see X, Y, and Z by a certain time or a certain date, they failed. And really, this is getting in our own way. It's creating those limiting beliefs. And when we create those limiting beliefs in our brain, it projects into our attitude, which then projects into our behaviors, which then projects into our action that we take in our business, and ultimately the results that we see in our business. So when we look at mindset, I want you to do a really, really, really deep inventory, okay? This is where your pen and paper need to come out for the first time, if you haven't already written anything down. So I want you to think about for just a second, you can put some words to paper, or maybe it's something that you need to go away after this call and reflect a little deeper into it. I want you to think about, how do you respond to challenge? Any sort of challenge, whether it be in your business, whether it be in life. When a challenge presents itself, an obstacle, how do you respond to that? I want you to think about that for a second. And there's no wrong answers. That's something I really want to stress. There's no wrong answers. I really just want you to start thinking about how you react in certain situations. Okay, second question. When faced with something that is uncomfortable or something that you don't want to do, what is your typical response to that? Okay, next is, I want you to answer this question for yourself. I would be more successful if. And then finally, this might take a little bit longer. Okay, so again, you can write these questions down, come back to them later. I want you to start taking a really deep inventory of your environment. So by environment, I mean not just your physical space, but what you allow into your mind every day, what you are watching on media, who you're talking to, who's in your immediate circle. I want you to think about your environment and think, is this moving me closer to my purpose or my goal? Or is it creating a roadblock? Okay, so once we have kind of that deep inventory done where we can start to analyze how we react in certain situations, how we face challenges in our business or life, we can start to reprogram our brain. That's actually the really cool thing. Reprogramming your brain is really just about being aware. It doesn't mean that what you've been doing up until this point is wrong. It just means being aware of how we react can start to change the way that we think. So I want you to think about how you think determines your attitude towards the situation or towards, something you want to do. Think about when you are going to send a message to someone to ask them, if they want to take a look at our products or our business opportunity. What are your thoughts before you send that message? Are you scared? Are you wondering how they're going to react? Are you concerned that they're going to judge you? So if that's how you're thinking before you send that message, your attitude is going to reflect that. If you're sending a voice clip, you might sound a little bit, timid or passive or a little less confident. You might come across as like you think you're bugging them. This will also determine, so our attitude then determines our actions. Maybe you don't send the message at all because you're too afraid. Or maybe you send the message, but the tone that it's coming across in is not one of confidence and knowing that you have something incredible to offer. So the result that comes from that is determined by your attitude and action. So the way we think determines our attitude, which determines our action, which then determines our results, and ultimately determines our lifestyle. Okay. And so are you ready? Okay, before we start to dive into the nitty gritty of these tools to put into your toolbox to help build your successful business, are you ready to start quitting the blame game? So what I mean by that is sometimes all of us, even as a black diamond, sometimes things happen in business and the blame goes somewhere else. Well, if I didn't work full time, I could be more successful here. Or if the company had the stock, I would be more successful here. Or if shipping was faster, I'd be more successful here. But really and truly, even if we can rationalize it, it's a dead end to your business. If we are putting blame on other external people, things, whatever, it's a dead end to your growth. I want you to quit thinking small. Start throwing out your limiting beliefs. If you've ever said to yourself, I could never be as successful as so-and-so, or I could never see myself as a diamond in this company because I lack X, Y, and Z. Those are limiting beliefs. You are thinking small and you are mentally roadblocking yourself from success. Whether you realize it or not, you are. I want you all start to visualize yourself on stage at conference training as a diamond. Whether you believe right now that that would happen or not, or whether you do, is going to be true. Because you're either going to limit yourself from growth, or you're going to open yourself up to the opportunity of growth. I want you to start rewiring your responses to adversity. So instead of thinking something has happened to you, start thinking this is happening for me. Even if it's something uncomfortable, even if it's something that, you feel has been a roadblock to your success. I do like to look back in the last couple of months, because even with all the craziness that happened with this unprecedented growth that we had, I like to think it was something happening for me, because it was building up my resiliency. It was allowing me to develop skills for conflict resolution. It was allowing me to develop my coaching skills for my team, my customer service skills, all things that are going to take me to the next level in my business. I need you to feed yourself whatever is feeding your purpose. So if you, after your deep inventory, realize that you're spending a lot of time following people on social media that are always like, wah, wah, oh, the sky is falling. Oh, life is terrible. Maybe we start to unfollow those people. Maybe we start to follow people that are inspiring us to reach higher, reach further, reach deeper. And I want you to really open up yourself to getting really uncomfortable in the next 4 weeks and stop worrying about everyone else. Deal? Okay. All right. So success is 100% linked to your mindset. 100% it is. Every successful leader in this industry has rewired their brain, guaranteed. It doesn't mean that we think everything is rainbows and butterflies. It means that we react to adversity differently than we used to. The tactical stuff, the skills that we're going to talk about next, is easy when we have our mindset and our emotional stuff in check. Okay. All right. Let's move on. So let's move on to DMO. DMO is your daily method of operation. Okay. I want you to just answer this question for yourself, or you can pop it in chat. We're all here to learn from each other. We're all here to support each other over the next 4 weeks. Do you have a DMO checklist? Do you have, it's kind of like a to-do list that you repeat every single day? Maybe you sit down at the end of the day and think about what you need to do the next day, okay? So I want you to take a little bit of an inventory, whether you have a DMO checklist yet or not. I want you to think about how much time you're dedicating every day to your business. Do you consistently do the tasks every day that are on your DMO checklist? How are you tracking your time? Because sometimes we sit here, I am such a, I'm so guilty of this, thinking, oh my gosh, I worked all day. But when I actually sit down and track, sometimes like 3 hours of my day are spent just like mindlessly searching for stuff, which is really not, actually working. Okay. So how are you tracking your time, your actual actionable time? How are you tracking your leads? So when you're having conversations with people, do you have a solid tracking system? Could you at any time pull up someone's name and know what conversations you've had with them, Know if you've sent them a sample, know if you've, directed them to the Ripple Effect or the Ultimate Glow Up customer groups, know if you've invited them to watch an overview, know if they've watched an overview. Are you tracking all of that? How are you connecting with new people? So how are you finding new people to talk to? Bree Richardson is brilliant for this. So if you don't follow Bree, follow Bree. If you are not in the Legacy League, which is Bree's group, comment in the chat. I'll post the link in the chat at the end of today. She does some incredible training in there on networking, getting new eyeballs on you, because if it's always the old eyeballs that are watching your stuff, you can't grow, okay? And then I want you to figure out from that list that I just gave you, where are your gaps? Okay, so where are some areas that you can improve your daily method of operation? So the reason we want to have a really solid daily method of operation is that this provides you with your framework for your daily work schedule. If anyone works outside of Chernot, right, we typically have a daily work schedule, things that we need to get done in the day at our job, okay? Often it'll be in a checklist or a to-do list, whatever that looks like. So it is no different when you're running and building a successful network marketing business. You need to have a framework for your daily work schedule. It also creates consistent behavior. So instead of waking up in the morning and being overwhelmed of what you need to do today, or not even knowing where to start, I'm not sure where to start, I don't know what to do, it will decrease this overwhelm by you knowing exactly what to do, okay? And it also creates an easy way to track patterns and understand maybe your areas that you need some personal development or coaching in. So for example, if you are tracking your leads for, say, the next 2 weeks, and everyone that you're reaching out to, for the most part, maybe there's some people that aren't responding to you, you are inviting them to the Ultimate Glow Up group, or you're inviting them to the Ripple Effect, but you're noticing they're not joining those groups. Maybe that's an area that we need to look at. Okay, inviting. How are we inviting? What are the next steps to actually get people in front of that information? So being able to track your patterns of success and areas that maybe there's some gaps gives you a better understanding of what types of training you might need to be searching out. Otherwise, and again, we're all guilty of this, how many times have you logged into every single training that week and you feel like you've been on training calls for like the entire, week, but you're not seeing any action in your business? Sometimes we can overwhelm ourselves with training and we get too many things on our to-do list, or too many things that you want to implement, and then we don't actually implement anything well. So understanding where your areas are needed is key. Okay, here's your first action item from this week. So this is, I don't like to use the word homework. We are not, we're not in high school. So it's an action item. You either do it or you don't do it. It's your business, right? But first action item is to get your DMO checklist complete. So every day, whether you put an hour aside for your business, 2 hours aside, maybe you do an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening, whatever it looks like for you, you've got this checklist so you know what you're doing, okay? And again, there's like so many ideas for daily method of operation checklists. I am going to share in the chat before we're done today. Actually, I'll put it in the chat on Facebook. It'll be easier for you to go back and look at it. The DMO checklist that I have created. These are just ones I pulled off the internet to give you an idea. Some can be like the one on the left-hand side, very specific. It has all your tasks written down and it's like the same over and over. Others can just be like the one on the right-hand side where it's like a to-do list every single day. Okay, so every single day you write down your DMO tasks and then you check off what days that you complete that. It's really just about tracking, okay? Okay, so we've got our DMOs. We know what we're going to do every day. Now let's talk about the dreaded list. I know this comes up in every training call, and it comes up for a really good reason. Why do you need a working list? Okay, without a working list, your funnel list, your leads magnet, whatever you want to call it, you have no customer base, you have no potential team, you have no way to actually execute your DMOs. Because actually, let's go back to DMO for a second. The top things that should be on your DMOs are connecting with people. We are in the business of networking. If you're not talking to people, if you're not inviting them to look at the information or look at our products, you're not building your business, okay? So your list is also your uncashed future paychecks, really and truly. You have no idea. I was actually just going through my list today and I'm making it electronic now, which I'll share with you in a minute. And there are some names on my list. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't connected with her in like a while. Like I need to go back and follow up with this person. You could potentially be leaving behind an entire group of people that could be impacted by our products, our business, or both. Okay. So again, taking yourself out of the equation, thinking about you are all here for a reason. You either absolutely love the products and love what they're doing for you and your wellness. You have seen success or see the potential of success with this business, or both, right? And so if you see impact with these products and business, there's millions of others out there that would also see the same impact if they were presented the opportunity of the business or the products or both, okay? So how to create one? We are going to start with 100 names. Yes, 100 names. I know that sounds daunting, but I'm going to break it down for you in a minute, okay? Why 100 names? Because out of 100 people, you might get, if you're lucky, 30 people that are going to say, sure, I'll take a look, okay? Those other 70 still stay on your list until they respond or they, close their Facebook account or they block you. Like really, they stay on your list. But the more conversations you're having, the greater chance you have of conversion, which means converting a conversation to a customer or a business partner. If you're only talking to 5 people and you're saying, I'm not seeing any results, it's because you're not talking to enough people. Hands down, period. That's it, okay? So I want you right now in your calendar on March 1st to set a task or put it however if you have a paper agenda, go to March 1st. I want you to write, refresh my working list. And then I want you to do the same on April 1st and so forth, okay? Every single month, you should be taking a look at that list, making sure you're tracking properly, see what your conversion rate for the previous month was. How many conversations did you start? How many new conversations? And then you want to refresh it, okay? If you've converted 20 people off of your list, or say 10, and maybe others said, I'm not interested right now, they become a not now person, okay? Which means they still stay on your list. You want to add new names, okay? So every single month. When we run out of our warm market, okay, we do need to look at it outside of it. So networking, and we will discuss networking on one of these calls, okay? So let's create the beginning of your list together. If you already have a working list, you're already ahead of the game. Amazing. I want you to pull it out, or if you don't have it handy right now, you can add to it later. But chances are the majority of you don't have 100 names on your working list. Is that probably a fair evaluation, right? So right now I want you to select 2 letters randomly. Just think of 2 letters, D and M, whatever that looks like. I want you to go to your Facebook friends list, scroll down to the names starting with those 2 letters, and write down every single name. Right now, do not think about it, okay? Don't overanalyze. Write down every single name under those 2 letters. I'll give you a few minutes to look at that, okay? And I'm going to do it with you guys. I was redoing my working list today. So I'm going to show you in a minute how I'm actually doing my working list when we're done this. Is anyone seeing names that you haven't seen in a long time? Probably, right? That's why Facebook is weird that way. They only show us about 10% of our friends list. So sometimes we forget that we're friends with people. Okay, so I'll let you guys finish that when we're done the call, but you get the idea. The next step will be you're going to have to go in before you actually connect with any of those people. We'll talk about this in a minute. You're going to obviously want to cross off anyone who is with turn not, because there's no point in reaching out to someone who's already an associate or already a customer. Okay. Another idea, and you can do this when we're done as well, is every day I like to go to my Facebook memories. Okay, we all have Facebook memories. Some of us might have more than others, but that's okay. So I go to my Facebook memories and I scroll down to the very oldest memory. Sometimes it's like 10 years ago. Okay. Yep, 10 years ago, there's a memory there. And then I will click on and see who commented or who interacted with it, okay, who liked it, who loved it, and add those people to my list. Sometimes names will pop up that you haven't seen in years. The other thing I like to do is if for any reason someone on that list is no longer a friend of mine, because sometimes people clean up their Facebook friends, maybe I deleted somebody along the way, I actually refriend them. Maybe they got rid of you a couple years ago because they were cleaning up their Facebook, but then it doesn't mean they don't like you, right? They see your name pop up and they go, oh my gosh, I haven't connected with Jody in so long. And they refriend you. Will everyone refriend you? No, but that's okay. All right, so that's a way to get your list started, okay, or refreshed. So I also want you to keep going, okay? Some other ideas. So think about if you were planning your wedding or you were planning a backyard barbecue, who would be on your invitation list? Who would you call? Sometimes we don't reach out to our very dearest friends for fear of what they're going to think. I'm guilty for that, for sure. So I want you to think about if you were hosting an event, who would you invite? Who would get an invitation from you? Put them on your list. And then when you are done all of that, okay, I want you to count up how many usable, for lack of a better term, names you have on your list. I want you to take that number and minus it from 100. That's going to be the gap you need to complete. And your second action item this week is to get that list to 100. Okay. So once you have your list complete, you are going to highlight 20 names. You can choose whichever names you want. So this might be a really good kind of deconstruction evaluation after you highlight those names. Think about why you chose them. I'm sure some of your answers will be because they were the least scariest people to reach out to. As humans, we fear rejection. It might be because you know them really well, so you feel like you can start a conversation with them. But that's okay. If that's where we're starting, that's okay. We're going to get a bit more uncomfortable with those more uncomfortable reach outs later on. So for your daily method of operation for the next 4 days, I want you to add 5 of those 20 names to each of your days over the next 4 days. So you should have 5 on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, okay? And then the last 3 days leading up to our next call next Tuesday are going to be dedicated for following up with those 20 people. So here's a few tips, okay? Each day, I want you to spend about 5 to 10 minutes of your DMO engaging with those top 20 people. They might be people you haven't engaged with in a long time. What do I mean by engaging? Like or comment on one of their posts. Make sure it's not a post from like, a year ago. If there's someone that hasn't posted on Facebook in a long time, that actually can be a really great message. You could send a message and say, hey, a memory popped up. You popped up in one of my comments on my memories, and I just haven't seen you on Facebook in a while. What have you been up to? You might not get an answer. Maybe they're not on Facebook anymore, but it's actually a good way to open up a conversation. Watch their stories. If they're the type of people that post stories, click on their stories. The really cool thing with stories is when you comment on their story, it gets you into their inbox. And when you comment, ask a question so that they will respond to you, okay? So for example, if somebody posted a story, I don't know if you guys saw, but I posted a story yesterday of little Zeke tripping over his own feet. It was actually really adorable. But I got so many people message me and say, oh my gosh, did he hurt himself? And the cool thing with that is now I'm conversing with people about Zeke, but I'm in their inbox. You can do the same thing on other people's stories. If they post, they were out for dinner. Wow, that looks amazing. What's the restaurant called? If they post that they've just booked a trip, oh, where are you off to? They're going to respond to you, and now you're in their inbox, okay? Now, it doesn't mean you pounce on them right away about or not, but it's creating that conversation. Now, I've given one of Sonara's little sample scripts here, but what I want you to do is I want you to come up with something that's authentically you. Because you are going to send a message to those 20 people over the course of the next 4 days. And you're going to say something like, hey, Jen, your trip to Florida looked amazing. I hope you had a great time. Listen, you actually just popped into my feed today, and I feel like we haven't connected in forever. I know this might be out of the blue, but I've recently partnered with a plant-based supplement wellness company. They have fabulous products, a great compensation plan, and it's 100% online. I actually think there might be money here for you. Now, you can say that if you feel that that's something you would say. That's a Sonara word, a Sonara phrase. If that doesn't sound like you, you can just go right to, I've got a YouTube video that actually explains our product line and how we earn money. If that's something you're interested in hearing about, what are the chances you can watch it if I pop it below? So what I suggest is we've got tons of scripts, okay, in the Diamond League. Go to those scripts, read through some of them, pick out the things that sound like you and write it out. You want to connect with them. So you want to say something like, hey, oh my gosh, I just saw that you came back from Mexico. One of my favorite places to go. What resort did you stay at? Okay. You want to tell them flat out, hey, you know what? I know this might sound random, but I don't know if you've noticed. I know Facebook can be weird and doesn't show people everything. I've started working with a plant-based supplement company. You're going to want to tell them what you're doing, and then you want to ask them permission to take a look. Keep it short, keep it sweet, sound excited. So again, we always suggest you do a voice message because you can totally sound excited in that. If you are edging your way towards being comfortable with voice messages, it's totally fine to write it out. Again, just explain your excitement. I haven't felt this great in 20 years. My skin is so different. My hair, is thicker than it was in my 20s. Whatever your personal experience is, okay? Okay. So mindset check-in. We got to do this before we finish. I want you to take yourself out of the equation. I want you to take emotion out of the equation before you send these messages. Before you send the voice message or write it out, I want you to say to yourself as many times as you need to, I have an incredible product line and an incredible opportunity to offer. I want you to rewire your brain. You aren't bugging this person. You aren't being creepy. You are in a sales-based business and you have an incredible thing to offer. I want you to think, if you owned a store, would you be confident telling your friends about it and inviting them to come check it out? Would you be confident posting about your store? Would it be weird if you even hired any of your friends? No, it wouldn't. So it's no different. If you find yourself pulling back, I want you to ask yourself, what is holding me back? And that's something that we can talk about on a coaching call, okay? So again, your weekly actions for this week, just a recap: get your list to 100, create your DMO, send your 20 messages, and track it. Then when your list is complete, so when you've completed your DMO and your 100 list, I'm going to book the link to book a live with me if that's something you want to do this week. This is something that I'm offering this group for participating in the Rise for Ruby. So we can do a quick live on metabolic health, the system that's coming, whatever that looks like. You can also book a micro coaching call with me. There'll be 15 minutes and we will come with solution focused conversation. Okay. So when you were doing your reach outs and you felt like you were holding yourself back, let's dive into that. Why were you holding yourself back? Or you got some responses, but you're not really sure how to respond to them. Okay. Next week, come ready to discuss actions, results, and objections. That's what we're going to focus on next week, and follow up. And so next week we will do mindset check. Like every week we will do that, and we will focus on follow up. And really and truly, guys, I want you to surround yourself with people that refuse to make you dream small. I want you all to dream bigger. Okay, everyone. I am going to stop the recording for those that need to watch the replay, and then I'll open it up to some questions.